So today I'm joined by Donovan Leone. I'll introduce him first. He's kind of the lead architect for the cloud peering and provider exchange. He's been with Zoom just over 3 years and has a telco background previously at Verizon and Sprint. So Donovan, welcome. And I wanted to ask you to tell us something, because I know Zoom is all about delivering happiness, something that has made you happy or where you've delivered happiness recently.
Wow. Dawn Marie, thanks for that introduction. That was very, very kind. Recent experience of delivering happiness, or what's made me happy. So we recently had a trip, got to meet my entire team in New Orleans about a couple weeks ago. So that was a very nice event, and it was very fun to be able to meet my team for the first time in about 2 years. So I'd say that's
first time. Yeah, that's funny how much that is happening right now at a lot of different events and places. So I always find people look a little bit different in 3D than they do in 2D. So
indeed.
The camera might remove some of the wrinkles, but I think people's smiles are better in person. Okay, so with that, Jason, who's also very smiley, Jason is focused on delivering happiness, supporting partners and carriers in the Zoom business. He's been there just over 1.5 years and also has a telco background, previously working at BT and a management consulting firm called DXC. So Jason, welcome. And I want to ask you the same question. What has delivered happiness either to you or to your customers or partners recently over at Zoom?
Excellent. Thank you, Don Marie. Very similar to Donovan, I actually joined Zoom during the middle of the pandemic. So I had not traveled at all since that began, since I've been at Zoom. So I actually was in New York right when the world kind of shut down in the middle of March 2020, and then was back in New York for a Zoom event the last week of June. So it was a kind of a full circle of last trip to first trip in New York. So that was fun. And I was also with Donovan in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. So getting to meet Donovan, always a highlight to meet him in person after spending countless hours over the last 1.5 years on calls with him. But similarly, I worked with a lot of people I work with at BT. So it was great to see and catch up with them again.
Good. And I love how you said calls versus meetings, because what we're going to focus on today is Zoom Phone. And one of the things that made me very, very happy this week is I saw some numbers that were published out where Microsoft kind of finally level set on the numbers with 13 million users using PSTN calling. And I know Zoom, you're right on their heels with just over 3 million Zoom Phone users. So one of the things that I really want to zero in on today, because you have an audience of SIPPIO partners and carriers, is how can Zoom really help our partners and carriers take advantage of the opportunity with Zoom? It's a household name. I've heard Taylor Swift say it, so that means it's got to be trendy and cool. So I have a set of questions for you all today. So first, let's start with something super basic and easy, just explaining what Zoom Phone is and what's its purpose.
Sure, I'll take that. So Zoom Phone, in its very simplest explanation, is a cloud PBX. So we continually will talk about this. You'll probably hear Don and I say it about 12 different times today. But Zoom is not just the meetings platform that you've been used to the last 2 years, become that household name. We are a platform now. So as the evolution has come, we have introduced Zoom Phone and many other Zoom products as well. So it's an entire ecosystem of a UC platform. So Zoom Phone, as you said, has over 3 million PSTN users, was announced just over 2 years ago. And, we've really seen, huge adoption over those last 2 years. Don, I don't know if you'd like to expand on what Zoom Phone is from an architectural standpoint or anything like that, but.
Yeah, I'm not going to bore everybody with all the technical details, but I think it is important what you mentioned, right, Jason, which is the simplicity of the platform, right? We want to make sure we've launched a ton of features over the last 3 years on the Zoom Phone platform, but we want to make sure that we can keep that simplicity to it so that it's very, very easy to use. So I think that's another important piece of that.
Yeah, and one distinction that I'll clarify, because I get this question a lot when I'm supporting partners on calls with customers. They'll say to me, oh, I can already make calls on Zoom phone. And there's a distinction of being on net, which is calling a Zoom to Zoom person, and being off net, which is hitting what we call the PSTN, or instilling a carrier set of traffic. So the important difference that you're selling when you're selling a calling plan or a subscription to your customers is the ability for them to call off net to basically anybody in the world who may not be using the same collaboration platform that they are. So I get that a lot. So I thought I'd just do a little education there.
That's a great distinction. And, as you referenced, Microsoft had their numbers published this week. 12 million active PSTN users is not 80 million PSTN users, which we had heard previously, right? So you're seeing some of the
right.
the distinction on what that actually is, right? So
yes, it was good that they level set on that. Okay, so then phone and meetings, how do they work together? So it sounds like a hamburger, and do you want fries with that to me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Jason.
I'll take that. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Again, it's a platform play, right? So the meetings is what everybody's used to. The video, what we're on today, right? One of the things that's great about it is it's all the same interface. It's just another feature that's enabled within the platform, the calling. So you're able to kind of elevate from a phone call to a meeting to video, and do all of those type of things seamlessly. So it's a complete UC platform that's able to have integrations with all the different Zoom products, if you will. Back when I was managing a PBX, I had, I think, 7 different logins at all the different things in order to run the PBX at the time. And it's a single login, whether you're a user or an administrator. So it's seamless across all of that.
Yeah, I remember that from where I was previously as well. You can look that up on LinkedIn if you want to know who I'm throwing under the bus. Anyway,
I think I was managing that vendor's PBX at the time as well. So.
Yeah, I've heard many people make some statements, including our very own Adam Cole, that Zoom phone has some superior features over others in the market. So can you tell us about your most favorite or unique features of what Zoom phone delivers in the end user experience?
Well, I'll take that one to start, Jason. There's a lot of features that I really love. I think the Elevate to Meeting is one of the really common ones that is super easy to use. And you mentioned it, right, with that flow that you described. But don't forget about chat, right? Zoom chat is probably one of the most forgotten pieces of our platform that's free, right? But you can elevate from chat to phone to meeting, and that's a really simple, easy to use feature. But there's a lot of other ones. There's dynamic location-based routing, right, that we use for enhanced 911. That's a great feature. A lot of great call queue distribution methods that we have, as well as a lot of enhanced analytics and reporting that we can also do as well. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay,
Jason?
so 2 comments there in terms of the use cases. So the first one you talked about promoting somebody from chat to phone to meetings, I think is really important, because I often see these email threads going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm like, okay, after the third reply all, somebody needs to pick up the phone and call somebody. So that's an easy way to do that on the Zoom platform. And then the other one you mentioned was the dynamic location, routing. So that is a use case for supporting somebody to go from home to Starbucks to an office to the mall back to home, correct? And follow you wherever you are.
That is correct, right? So it detects your location. Yep.
Okay, great. Any
and I just
you wanted to mention, Jason?
Yeah, I just threw a link in the chat there to a YouTube video that actually shows that elevation from kind of a demo, which is really good, showing of that in real life. I am the guy that if I can have time for 10 things in a day, I try to find a way to fit 15 things into that day. Mm-hmm. So I work across 3 different devices. So my favorite feature that I use constantly is being able to transfer between the devices. So when you're logged into that, you can see that you have a call that's already in progress, and you can switch over to that device, and it really works seamlessly. You know, I enjoy the simplicity of what the phone and the entire platform is. When my wife and I moved in together after we were married, I had this media server that was amazing in my mind anyway. So you could do everything. You could stream everything. I ripped all of our DVDs to it. You could stream XM radio and all FM radio channels. And like, this was like 2002-ish. And it was way ahead of its time, and only one person in the entire world could use it, and that was me. My wife was like, this thing is the dumbest thing ever. It doesn't work. How do I turn on the TV? And that's what I really appreciate about Zoom Phone, is that it looks like a phone, it acts like a phone, and it's just super simple to use.
Yeah, and I use that feature all the time. Generally in the morning, I'm not what I would call camera ready quite yet. So I'll start on my phone, and then if other people want to be on camera, then I'll move to the computer. But sometimes, you know, you don't always want to look at everybody, especially if you're trying to multitask. It's pretty easy to see when people are multitasking with the eye contact thing on the camera. And the cameras are still a little weird, where I have to look up here, but then I want to look at you, but you're down here, so then I'm not looking up here. So that's kind of a thing that's interesting. So let's talk about customers, you know, because ultimately that's where everybody drives revenue. So what types of customers are you seeing that have interest in Zoom Phone? Who's buying it initially out of the gate? Is there a sweet spot or a vertical or any other type of attribute that you're seeing that you would recommend to our partners and carriers to be focusing on?
I'll take that first off. The sweet spot seems to be absolutely everybody. We are seeing wins across from, you know, the local SMB that has a couple employees to some of the largest banks in the world have all deployed Zoom Phone. I promise not to kill you with slides today, but I do want to share one here with some of the logos that we have won since Zoom Phone has been announced. So there's some of the Zoom Phone customers. You can see there's some of them here are highlighted, you know, some of the largest corporations in the world. And, you know, the one on the bottom right there that we're all very familiar with, you know, signed up really when Zoom Phone was a beta product, and they agreed to they saw our roadmap, they saw our vision, and they have, you know, deployed it globally now, and really have gone on the journey with us. So, and been very happy and successful with the deployment and the rollout as well. So we're seeing those type of wins, and then we're seeing, you know, like my daughter's dance studio, you know, they adopted Zoom during the pandemic, right? And, you know, they also use Zoom Phone now, right? So you're seeing it from, you know, the dance studio, which has, you know, all of, I think, 4 employees, right? So we're seeing wins, you know, all over the spectrum.
Mm. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad you addressed that, because some of my partners and carriers who are on this call, and you know who you are, I won't call you out by name, but I get pushback on Zoom Phone being enterprise ready. So when you think about PepsiCo and you think about some of the world's largest banks being highly, you know, regulated, that means that they've done their due diligence and they've tested that to ensure that it's going to support a large enterprise. So don't be shy about educating your customers around that, because that's where you, as the trusted advisor, can help your customers, you know, grow and understand their knowledge about the different collaboration platforms that are available to them that they might want to incorporate into, you know, into their business. So good. Okay, I've also wanted to know if there's anything else you want to highlight on customer wins, or do we want to move in and talk about ROI next?
No, I'll just add to some of the customer wins, right? Some of the use cases that we get quite often, excuse me, it's not always a one size fits all with a lot of enterprises, right? So we offer, you know, natively, Zoom will offer service in about 47 plus countries, but there's a lot of enterprises that need, you know, coverage in a lot more countries, right? So we can do a mix and match. It's not, you have to buy one license type, right? For your whole enterprise, you can do a mix and match of different license types. You can do a bring your own carrier option if you need service in a lot of other countries. So we see those use cases all the time, and we can solve for the majority of them.
Okay. Yeah, that's good on the use case. And when you have an opportunity that's bring your own carrier, think about SIPPIO. We're happy to help you out. So ROI, I've seen some interesting discussions on a couple of calls that I've been on with Zoom, sort of internally referencing that you've done some studies on ROI and what it delivers over some competitive offers. So can you talk about what that might be and where a partner carrier might get educated or get those metrics that they can utilize in their talk tracks?
Yep. So we have done a study that we frequently reference. I'm actually going to throw it. Was done with Forrester, and we were able to show that we had up to 261% ROI on the entire platform, is what it was. We have another interesting one that we have done on total cost of ownership as well, and comparing it to some of our competitors. And one of the things that really kind of was very apparent, I guess, in that study is the deployment and the training that was necessary for Zoom is so much less than our competitors that really shined through on that study. So threw the one in there on the ROI, I'll throw the one in the chat as well on the TCO. I'm going to show you a couple things on the TCO as well. The TCO, I talk about simplicity a lot here on what it is, but it really is just very, very user friendly from all of the standpoints here. Trying to get the right link up for you.
Okay. And I'm going to ask Aaron if he could grab those links that you're posting so that we can send them out in the follow-up, because we get a lot of viewership later on when we send out the recording and when we post to YouTube. So go ahead.
Yep, there you go. So I was talking about here on the deployment and training on what it looks like from the cost of that. And you can just see how much difference is the initial setup cost of this is just massively lower. So I think we were able to show a lot of these TCOs and ROIs on what it looks like from an actual deployment, what they need. And then the day two maintenance on these and the amount of people that you need to actually run the platforms is so much less on Zoom compared to one of our main competitors here. So I'll throw that in the link as well. I don't know, Donovan, if you want to add anything on that, but those are the type of things that our talk tracks with our customers and our partners that we really try to get across is not only the simplicity as a user, it makes everything else simple as well.
Yeah, so I think ROI and TCO are two really good things to talk about with customers, because oftentimes as technologists, we have a habit of falling back into feature, function, architecture, bits and bytes discussion, which is important. But in today's day and age, you want to assume that what's under the hood works. I know when I buy a car, I'm certainly not asking those questions. I'm focused on what does it look like? How's it going to get me there? And that total cost of ownership that I have over the life of the relationship that I have with that car. So I think that those are really important metrics to talk about. And if somebody is using Zoom meetings already, it's just a natural jumping off point, especially if they have a really dated, PBX. A lot of these PBXs were put into place, believe it or not, when we were all in elementary school. They've been around 20, 30 years. And a lot of them over the past couple of years have been locked up in server closets in office buildings that people are not, going to. So it's time for a lot of companies to be looking at the future and the horizon, and how are they going to be agile, and how are they going to take advantage of what's coming in the future with AI, with meeting insights, with sentiment, and things like that. And you have to have a phone system that supports that. And certainly, Zoom Phone is a great foundation for some of those things. But showing if they have an investment and an aptitude for understanding Zoom meetings already, it's pretty easy to teach them how to use the phone and add that on.
Yep, absolutely. And and we're happy to have the conversation as well about features and functionality and all the widgets that it can have as well. But that's not usually our core track. I think if somebody's looking to do a cloud PBX, they're expecting those things today, right? And we are a fully functional, modern, enterprise ready cloud PBX.
Yep, great. So let's talk about your go-to-market. direct, partners, carriers, etc. Today your audience are partners and carriers, so they're going to be interested in what's in it for them and how they can build profitable lines of revenue and in most cases monthly recurring revenue. So I'll just open the floor at a very open-ended question to you on that.
Sure. I guess I'll kind of say the quiet part out loud to begin with here. Zoom has gone direct as their primary go-to-market initially. The two, I understand that's made a lot of channel conflict across different things, but we have two main focuses right now at Zoom internally, and number one is channel, and number two is Zoom Phone. So this is the crossroads of this, so it's a perfect opportunity to talk about this. So we have a lot of different opportunities to go to market through the channel. Obviously through our partnership with SIPPIO here is a great one to be able to sell your voice plans into what we call like a Zoom Phone Pro or BYOC license, which is just simply the ability to have a cloud PBX without a calling plan. So that's the opportunity, for all of your partners. Certainly, we have several different go-to-markets with, options to become like a Zoom Phone certified integrator, different programs like that we can talk about at a later date. But there's a lot of different opportunities, to partner with Zoom today. Donovan, I miss anything there you wanna hit on as well?
Yeah, no, you captured it pretty good. I think there's also, we have a referral model, right? So there's reseller, referral, there's various different go-to-market options, depending on what those needs and requirements are for you as a partner. But I will also add to that is every time you register a deal with Zoom, you will get support from our direct team as well, right? So you're not alone in trying to close these opportunities. We're absolutely going to walk with you and help drive those to closure.
Yeah, there's a lot to elaborate on the support there. So we have a channel team. Donovan and I both sit within the channel organization. So you're gonna have channel support on deals as well as the direct team that has those accounts assigned to them as well. So there's a plethora of support on these. So if you're not comfortable talking about Zoom, but you have discovered a Zoom lead opportunity, we're happy to go in there and support you any way we can on those.
Yeah, and if anyone's running into channel conflict, you can bring that to me or Manny or Steve or Neil. You also can reach out to Jason or Donovan directly. They've been great about handling a couple of nits that we have found. And I really have seen just in the short period of time that we've been working together since last September, that tide start to change into being more channel friendly and, a little bit agnostic to how the sale is transacted. So that's always good.
Yeah, Zoom has big growth ambitions over the next few years, and the key way that everybody acknowledges it's going to be through the channel, right? So we have severely increased our staffing within channel, the engineering resources on Donovan's team as well since I've even been here, so there's a lot of support, a lot of focus on that. So if you do run into anything, please reach out and we're happy to make sure that those channel conflicts are eased.
Okay. Anything you want to say on future? If you don't want to talk proprietary or double secret roadmap, you can also kind of wax poetic about your own opinion. You heard me mention Meeting Insights and AI and other things, but kind of where do you see this going, either for Zoom or for the industry as a whole with phone service?
Yeah, I'll start off with that one, Jason. So I think the big hot topic right now is our contact center, right? Just with that being recently launched. So I think you're going to see a lot, of features being rolled out here fast and furious, if you will, on our contact center platform. From an AI perspective, we have Zoom IQ right now. If you've not heard of that, it's basically taking some of the intelligence out of the meetings, right, that you've joined, and being able to translate that so you can make intelligent decisions on sales. So there's a lot being done and being evolved with the Zoom IQ feature. Trying to think of some other good stuff. Provider exchange, right, is near and dear to me and Jason, a lot of us. So I think you're going to see that continue to grow with more expansion around the globe from a geographic coverage standpoint. Jason, is there any other things you can think of that you want to highlight?
I think you hit all the hot topics. I would also add, contact center, is a big announcement here at Zoom. I would also say that we still integrate with other contact centers. So if you have a customer that's on a different contact center platform, that doesn't mean that Zoom Phone isn't a play. We are, very committed to that roadmap and that continued support of all those third-party contact centers. And, we do contact center integrations with Zoom Phone every day.
Very good. Materials to help out the teams if they're selling collateral, videos, brochures, training. I know you posted the ROI, but where would you direct partners and carriers to go to get themselves versed and educated?
So there's a couple different resources. First off, Zoom's website is one of the best tech websites I've actually ever seen. It has a wealth of knowledge on it. You're able to search on it, and if you Google anything, it's usually the first thing that comes up is Zoom's own website with knowledge articles on it. So, poke around there 100%. If you become a Zoom partner, you get access to the partner portal, which is a whole nother level of Zoom training and things like that. So the partner portal is also great. There's, that's when I started at Zoom. I went to the partner portal and started watching training videos because that was as good as anything that was out there. So those are two great resources. Donovan, you have anything else?
No, I think you hit them all. I actually have to take all of those training videos myself because I'm very behind, and there's about 20 of them I need to do here. But no, there's a lot of great resources. The partner portal is definitely the great place to head to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll attest to partner portal because that's how we got started. I'll admit that I'm lazy and I don't typically go to customer or company websites because oftentimes they're marketing stuff. So I'm going to give the Zoom one a try next time and see what that's about, because maybe it'll give us some ideas to up SIPPIOs. Well,
what we haven't talked about today, and it's another great thing you can find on the website, is the hardware support. We keep that up to date as well. So if you have any partners out there that are on, legacy phones or, on a Cisco phone system, we support all the line of the Cisco phone systems, and all those devices are shown what is supported there. So, not only are we supporting obviously all the new and shiny devices, we support a long list of legacy devices and gateways and different things like that. So that's always up to date, found on the website, searchable, Google, Zoom phone supported devices, and will come right up.
Right. That's a super good segue, like back to the ROI discussion, because I know other platforms don't support legacy devices. And sometimes that's where the bulk of the investment has to go. And if people aren't necessarily fully going back to work and maybe they're part-time or in a hybrid situation, being able to leverage that legacy phone on a desk when they're in office could really increase that ROI for customers that are moving into Zoom. So I think that's a really great competitive differentiator for you that I hadn't really thought of until you just talked about it. So, okay. So
we're
now,
seeing a lot of that built into the business case, right? They're able to go and say like, hey, we're able to leverage some of these devices, for the next couple of years. And then kind of we're seeing partners like put together models where they're able to bundle in, per user per month licensing or PSTN models with a device as well, right? So they're able to go bundle all those in. So there's a lot of different creative ways we can get to, show, how to be able to go refresh things in the future without having to buy a bunch of phones right off the bat.
Yep. So I know partners don't necessarily have to be a Zoom partner to sell a SIPPIO calling plan, but certainly there's a lot of advantages to becoming a Zoom partner. So can you talk about how partners would get started and maybe some of the merits of why they would want to become a partner as opposed to, just selling in parallel?
Yeah, so there's a lot of really big advantages to becoming a partner as well. So, as I mentioned earlier, there's like the PBX licensing, right? So if you become a partner, you can become what we call a BYOC reseller. It's just a bring your own carrier reseller. At that point, you can sell that cloud PBX license in addition to your calling plans and bundle that all together. So, you can get creative with pricing on what that looks like as well. And you're also able to migrate all of your users then seamlessly. So if you have an existing users on that, you can redirect their DIDs to Zoom and bundle the licensing. So there's a lot of advantages to, being able to offer those models. You're selling a Microsoft calling plan, you're not selling an E3 or an E5 license, right? So you're able to get some additional revenue by selling that Zoom license.
Okay. Yeah, and that's just the way to increase your average revenue per user if you're able to get credit for the phone license in addition to the subscription or the calling plan that you're attached. Ryan Perry, who we also work with, mentioned in the chat just a few minutes ago that you hired a new, I'm not sure exactly the title, but channel chief, director of channels, et cetera. So why don't we talk a little bit about the structure at Zoom and who's who in the zoo and who the partners and carriers can reach out to start establishing some direct relationships with Zoom.
So we've actually hired a few new people right now. So we hired a new channel chief, and then we've also hired a new, I believe he's president. Is that right, Donovan? Put me on the spot here, but he's much higher than I am. Let's put it that way. So we've hired a couple of new people here really to try to drive to that $10 billion numbers. What we were very publicly stating that's where we want to be and where we're going to go. As far as resources, I am your contact for all things provider exchange. So certainly reach out to me, throw my email here in the chat as well. So, introduce yourself, jason.gilligan@zoom.us, and find me on LinkedIn. Happy to help on anything, on any deals you have. As Don Marie said, I'm happy to get on any calls, talk about anything that's working or not working, how we can work better with you. So we're really, trying to drive this provider exchange and the relationship with SIPPIO and all of your partners to, make sure that we can get Zoom Phone out there.
And I just threw a link in the chat here. So it's a great place to start as well. The partner portal where you can apply to become a Zoom partner. I would suggest though, if you're interested in doing that, reach out to Jason or myself or Dawn Marie, let's have a conversation first. And certainly, would love for you to apply and work through that process.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're getting to the end of the call here, but I know there's something really exciting coming up, and I have already marked it on my calendar for November 8th and 9th to be somewhere warm and sunny, I believe. So why don't you talk to us about what that is and where it is and what some of the things that will come out of it.
Yeah, so I'll start that off, Jason, if you don't mind. So this is super exciting for me because the last time we've had Zoomtopia, which is our annual user conference, was in 2019 before the pandemic. So it's been hybrid, or I should say it's been all remote through our events platform since then. This year it's going to be hybrid, right? So we're going to be in person in San Jose, as well as it's going to also be on our events platform if you want to join remote as well. What I can't guarantee is that Snoop Dogg will be there like he was in 2019. We haven't announced who the speakers are yet. So more to come on that. We'll have to, I see you put the link for the Zoomtopia event in the chat there. So more to come on who's going to be speaking there.
It just give you an idea of, we're very excited to have it back in person, first off. But secondly, if you can look at the link there, you can see who was there last year. So last year, actually, Jimmy Yang from Silicon Valley moderated the event. So that was hilarious for a remote event. It was very, very entertaining. Let's put it that way. And we had Coach K speak, any basketball fans out there as well. So we get a lot of top, people that will be, either speaking or moderating the event. So, it's a lot of things at Zoom. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be educational and networking opportunities. So strongly recommend, if you can't make it there in person, which I would certainly recommend if you can, to join the virtual event as well.
Yeah, I attended almost everything on the virtual event last year. And I would say out of all the virtual events I've been to, it was one of the best executed. And it had that right balance of fun and entertainment in learning. Sometimes these events, since they've been virtual the last few years, are really, really dry. And I noticed that, there's just been drop off and drop off and drop off, because it's just really hard when you don't have that 3D interaction to keep the audience entertained. I also remember they sent me a care package of stickers and happy things and posters and whatnot. So great. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and stop the recording, and then we will open up the mics or the talking capability to the audience and see if there's any questions